All good.
Okay. Well, first of all, Harvey, thank you for joining us. This is another one of our videos for my introduction to kinesiology class here at Evergreen Valley College. And as I talk about with all of our guest presenters or guest speakers, the class is kind of set into kind of thirds. The first third, we talk about the importance of physical activity and how people experience physical activity and exercise. Then we go through all the disciplines within kinesiology, like biomechanics, motor skills, psychology, physiology. And then in the last part, we talk about careers in kinesiology, coaching, personal training, athletic training, physical therapy. And what I like to do is have experts come in from those fields to kind of to talk to us about their experience. So I asked Harvey to come in and talk about coaching and instruction for us today. A little bit of background on Harvey. For Harvey, you'll take over after that. Harvey is an assistant coach here at Evergreen Valley College. He's been with us for 3 years now as an assistant coach. I first met Harvey. He works here in San Jose, and he also works at Almaden Football Club or Almaden Soccer Club, where Harvey coaches the elite level teams and is also the MLS Next Academy Director, or one of the MLS Next Academy Directors. Harvey's also got a tremendous amount of academic qualifications to go with his experience, and he'll talk about those things shortly. But we're very grateful, Harvey, for you to kind of spend a little bit of time talking to our class and kind of enlightening us on the life of a high-level sports coach. Of course, our example will be soccer, but sports coach in general. So we have some questions. The first one in to kind of lead us off is, Harvey, do you want to kind of introduce yourself, just talk about where you come from, a bit about your background, the things that you do now, and just kind of introduce us to yourself.
Yeah, Simon, thank you very much for having me. Of course, obviously, my name is Harvie Millier. I'm a youth soccer coach and college soccer coach here in the Bay Area. I was born and raised over in the UK, just about an hour outside of London. London is one of the major kind of soccer and sporting hubs of the world, and I think that kind of my childhood there kind of led me into a passion for soccer, or passion for football as we call it. And I think from there on, I just wanted to be connected to the game. So played for as many years as possible and kind of wound up in coaching. Just an introduction into my role at the minute. So my role is a very busy one and very rewarding one. So obviously I'm the assistant coach, as Simon mentioned, at Evergreen Valley College on the men's soccer side. And I also work within Almaden FC, coaching multiple teams alongside being one of the youth directors. So I oversee kind of programs and how the boys MLS, which is kind of our elite level boys program, is progressing. And then I'm also the head coach of a couple of those teams within that. And kind of my job responsibilities can be managing all aspects of the soccer program, from player development, parent communication, and game scheduling. So a very, very busy period in the fall season too.
And you're right in the heart of the kind of the back end of the fall season now, right? With the college and the club. This is the time where you're kind of up early and to bed late, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last night, yeah, or yesterday I was on the field for a good 7, 8 hours. Got home, had some food, went to bed, up early on some emails, and again, yeah, we're in the crunch time of the season, and again, you work really hard for this point in the season, so there's no point in complaining about it. Just try and embrace it. So.
Right. Okay. So can you share a bit about your kind of your academic and coaching background, and about kind of your playing background? Where did you go to school? Of course, it was in
Yep.
the UK, right? But where did you go to school? Did you play soccer in college? Where did you study? And then how has that kind of helped you into the kind of how has that helped get you where you are, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of high school, that's probably as far back as I can remember now. In terms of like high school and school, I was never really like a great academic student. I was always getting the kind of C's and B's, and I think 60, 70% on a lot of my classes and exams. So I never really had like I don't know. I kind of didn't really feel like I was super academic, but what I was hardworking, and I had a lot of support from my mum. Again, my mum worked in an academic institution, so she worked in a university, so she was always kind of pushing the education side of thing, and then my dad wasn't, and he was always kind of pushing the soccer side of things. So for me, I just had the kind of had the commitment to it, but I definitely wasn't the smartest in the class, and I think I just had to kind of work on everything. But that's kind of what I remember from my academic side of things. And at school, I actually failed PE. I got a D in PE, so I didn't pass it. And I remember clearly my teacher, my form tutor, was a guy called Mr. Marmion, and he said, "Don't worry, son." Tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "You're not going to be nothing in sport anyway, so just look for something else." So I that was kind of fuel for the fire and motivation on that side of things. And I was playing soccer at the time, and I think towards the end of high school, at 16 in England, you finish high school and you have the option to go to college before university. So again, very similar to how we have right here, community college and 4-year academic institutions. So again, I was a community college student essentially, and went there with the ambition to play sports and the ambition to study and get good grades and try and move on. And I think for me, the biggest thing, it was the most eye-opening thing, was going to a different institution from my high school and seeing just such a vast, diverse population, meeting people from different backgrounds who I would have never interacted with before. And I think for that, my motivation to be there every day was there because I wanted to meet new people, see new people. I made new friends, new teachers, new professors, all that kind of stuff. So I absolutely love my experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Alongside that, I was also playing soccer. So again, the commitment there, I was again didn't have a driver's license at the time, and again, I was getting the bus from St Neots to Bedford, which was probably 40 minutes, rush hour traffic, getting caught in traffic, and again off the bus and then onto another bus to the soccer training, and then walking from the soccer training, which was about 40 minutes as well, back over to the college and studying. So it definitely wasn't easy. Um, but it was something I really enjoyed, and I think my enjoyment was there, my commitment was there. So I think in term, I did quite well to get out with good grades, and I think the I thrived in terms of going from high school where I wasn't thriving into a new academic institution, new people, and I think I just thrived and I got my grades up and had a really good opportunity to graduate out of Bedford College. So
Do you think so? In high school, you have to study almost everything, right? Then when you go to
yeah.
college, you get, we call them options, right? You get to choose a subject. You think one of the reasons you strived in college more was because you were only studying a smaller number of subjects that may have been of interest. And on that note, can you tell us? I know you have a master's degree, but what did you do at college? What's your bachelor's degree in, and then what's your master's degree in? Could you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think just again specializing in things I just wanted to learn and had interest in really kind of boosted that. Again, I wasn't a fan of English, math, and science, but I was a fan of like arts and sports and all that kind of stuff. So again, yeah, for me, I think yeah, absolutely right. I think the how it narrowed down and specialized really kind of brought out that focus in me. Yeah, so I was at Bedford College and I passed my college course with a distinction. I don't know if we use that here in the US. So a distinction was probably one of the, I think it was the top grade you could get back then, and got a distinction out of the college and qualified to go into university. And when I was applying for universities, there was some really good schools I was applying to. Loughborough University was one, Liverpool John Moores was one, and again, you can really narrow down in the UK the topic that you want to study in your bachelor's degree. So for me, they had my course locally at Bedford College. So again, imagine living 20 minutes from the Evergreen campus and being able to drive in and having that kind of on your doorstep and still being able to work a part-time job and live with family and all that kind of stuff. So for me, moving away wasn't the right thing to do at 17, 18 when I was making those big decisions. So decided to study locally at University of Bedfordshire. Really good campus, really good school. Really enjoyed my time there. Again, had lots of fun with the soccer teams there playing, had lots of fun off the field as well. And again, just enjoying that college lifestyle. And I actually did really well in my first year. It's a 3-year course. I did really well in my first year, okay in my second year. And then by my third year, I kind of dipped in motivation a little bit and wanted to just work and wanted to earn money.
Yeah.
And I think my mum kind of sat me down and said, "Hey, look, you've come so far. You've done 15 years of education. You've got one more year left. Like, just go all into it." And then
Brilliant.
I salvaged my grades and got it back up and ended up finishing there with a merit. So a 2-1 is what we call it there, I believe. So
Like
uh,
a, it's like a B. That's like a B. It's like a
yeah,
B over here. A
Yeah,
distinction would
good.
be an A, and then a two ones like similar to a B. Two is a C, and a
Yeah,
third is a D, but you still pass.
yeah.
So
So again, similar, and then ended up coming out of there and again taking a huge break. I moved over to America. I think probably not moving away from college made me so not moving away to college made me want to move away when I was 20 and finishing kind of all my education stuff. So I was like, right, move out to America, and then COVID hit. And again, in terms of immigrating to the US and also in terms of climbing the ladder, in terms of wanting to be a college head coach or an academy head coach or even a professional head coach, like I needed something more. And in COVID, everything shut down. And I went online and was looking at master's degree programs, and I had the opportunity to study at the UCFB, which is a global campus. They have campuses here in Miami, they have campuses in Melbourne, and obviously I joined on the London campus. And again, everything was online, and was really fortunate to get my master's degree there in performance coaching. And yeah, I thrived and absolutely loved it. And I think the maturity I had after taking that break in terms of coming out of college and going back. I think the maturity I had and the motivation I had, I thrived in that and ended up passing with a distinction and won the Dean's Award. So yeah, I got a super high award in that.
So what's funny on that is we actually one of the other Q&A discussions we have is with Jesse Nievi, the former
Yes.
EVT student.
Yep.
He talked about how he really struggled with online learning. He said he found the in-person learning way better. So he found that whenever it was online, he could never find the time to focus and get his work done. He actually much enjoyed kind of coming into a classroom. So it sounds like the online piece for you with your master, you actually really enjoyed because you had the self-discipline to get it done, but it probably also created a more flexible schedule for you to kind of keep on working and earn some money at the same time as finishing off that master's degree, right? Because you'd have been a little bit older, 26, 27 when you were doing that.
I think 28, and I
Okay.
was working full time. I was coaching 4 teams. I was also assistant coach at the college in the very back end of that as well. So yeah, really busy lifestyle. But a lot of the assignments I had were projects. So again, the projects I could do at midnight or 7 a.m. or 5 a.m. like whenever I chose to kind of work, like wake up and do the work. And again, fortunately in soccer, one of the benefits, I'm sure we'll get onto it, is the lifestyle. You can have busy times, and then you can also have a full Friday off or a full Saturday off, like depending on your schedule. So whenever I got those full day off, like it was like, hey, coffee shop, 7 a.m., triple espresso, headphones in, and go to work for 5 or 6 hours at a time.
Crack back a couple of Red Bulls. So on that one, so your master's is in performance coaching.
Yes.
To get into coaching in general, do you think an academic background is required? Because I also you have soccer specific certificates, right? So every profession's kind of got a gate that you have to kind of pass there. In soccer, it's the US Soccer Federation, right? The USSF licenses. I know you have
Yep.
high levels, but is the academic piece? Do you feel like that piece has helped you? And also, can you kind of tell us about because again, athletic training, you have to do the athletic training certificate. Physical
Yep.
therapy, you have to do some. There's Jesse was mentioning you have to do in coaching, it's not with a master's degree, you can't just coach. You also have to then go and do the US Soccer Federation license, which kind of comes. Can you kind of talk us through that just kind of quickly and the level of license and how that
Yeah, absolutely.
license and your academic piece kind of go together?
Yeah, I think again, you don't need anything to get in the door. You just need passion, and I think you need a good personality and people skills to get your foot in the door. Again, in soccer specifically, you can get into refereeing, coaching, tournament. You can get into all sorts of things before you actually kind of specialize, right? So you can be effective in a soccer club without actually stepping on the field in some ways. Again, that's each person's different skill set. For me, the formal education piece really made a difference as I kind of hit the first 5 years in my career. I started to get opportunities come my way, and again, I think when anyone is sat down in any form of formal education or informal education, it just shows you have a desire to get better, and I think people notice that. So for all the people that are probably in this class right now listening, like you've done the hardest thing. You're here. You're trying to learn, and that will get noticed. And ultimately, when you achieve what you achieve based on attending those classes and attending the license, you've earned it. And I don't think anyone can ever take that away from you. So yeah, for me, it was about getting some licenses. So I started on the bottom as the F license, I think was online. Went to the E license, was in Davis. And again, a lot of this was actually self-funded back then, but
Yeah.
now clubs and organizations will fund it. So if for example people can't afford it, clubs are usually pretty good at supporting people and organizations, and even yeah, there's other ways, right? You can apply for grants and stuff too. But went through the licensing pathway, and again finally got to the top license last 2 years ago, which was the A youth, and that yeah, that was a game changer. I think from then I got offered so many opportunities, and in within my own organization that I was in, and also externally as well, because again, when you're climbing the ladder and looking for opportunities, sometimes you have to look outside of your organization to attain the next step, right? And I think, yeah, I've met so many people along the way that I also would employ if I had the opportunity, and would also employ me. So those connections I'll always take through in life.
So the licenses, if for soccer, they go the F license, then the E, no, my alphabet, E, D, C, B, and then A is the top license, right? And then
Yeah,
as you
similar. Yeah,
and I'm sure every other sport has got something similar, is my presumption.
yeah.
But as you kind of go up, and again, you have to pay for these licenses yourself. And some of these, the A license is a 6 to 9 month journey, right? Is it 6 to 9 months?
The one I'm on right now, I finish in December. It's a 12-month journey. It follows you along the college season, so it's linked again to my work. So again, it's intrinsic, right? It's something that I'm passionate about. Is my work at the college, and I'm kind of documenting and applying what we do every day at Evergreen Valley College to this course, and putting it into the use of Google Docs or PowerPoint, Keynote, all these kind of presentation things. I think as you're developing as a coach, you're also developing your skills on all these types of applications or web pages or whatever. So yeah, it's a big learning phase, and again, it can take up to a year to complete. But once you have that, like no one can take that away from you, right?
And then the part I'm going to go on to also is as you go to licenses, A, the presumption is you can earn more money. If you are applying for a job with an A license, you'll get paid more than a B or a C or a D, right? Same as if you have a
Yeah,
doctorate, a master's, a bachelor's, or just an associate's. But
yeah,
also you are the assistant director of the MLS Next program at Almondon.
yes.
Are there some roles that you can actually only do with a level of license? Isn't it that you can actually only be a director in certain programs if you have an A license? Is that correct?
Yeah, so MLS is the kind of leading program within soccer right now, and they kind of audit clubs and programs on their application into the league and application going forwards with the league. So, for example, we have to have a minimum B license coach um, for each team, and there's ways around. For example, like if someone is doing their B license, they can
Yeah.
stay there, or they're attaining licenses, they can stay there as long as they're overseen by somebody else who has that license. And then on top of that, to be a director, yeah, you need to. I'll probably be going in the next year or two through another course, which is the Academy Directors course. Again, is to how to be a better academy manager, and I'm pretty sure in the next 5 or 10 years they're going to mandate that everyone has that too. So I think if just get in there early and get it done, and then I won't have to do it in a more challenging period in my life.
Yeah, I think and that also that's their we call it kind of a monopoly, right? That's their way of
Yeah,
trying to control the quality. So if I talk about, I use the analogy of fast food. If you go buy a Big Mac from McDonald's, whether you're in Hawaii, California, or the UK, or even Paris, Madrid, without a Big Mac's a Big Mac. And the objective of a lot
yeah,
of these professions is to make sure by having these requirements that directors and coaches have got to go through education, it's so that a little boy or girl, no matter where they are in the US or where they are in the world, they have a similar experience and there's
yeah.
certain standards that the coaches are meeting. Well, I think on that, my other question was going to be, or the next question before we move on was, when did you decide you wanted to be a coach? Like, I call them traditional pathways and like I'm now a college professor. At 30 years old, I'd never have guessed I'd be sat here. I kind of almost stumbled across it. Do you feel like quite early you were like, I can't be a player, I want to be a coach? Or I'm trying to help the students understand that they don't all know what they're going to be.
Yep.
And sometimes following the passion, they just can like fall upon it. how was your career progression to coaching? Is it something that you knew I want to be a coach, or is it just kind of unfolded this way?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of both. I think I always wanted to be connected to football. I always wanted to be a player, and then you find out your dreams get crushed at 15, 16, and your mum and dad
Good.
sit you down and be like, "Hey, look, it's not going to happen." Just like every other kid in the world. So, yeah, again, it's you're not part of that 0.001%. So you start thinking, okay, well, what can I do? So my plan then around 15 was to schedule all my classes around being a police officer. Um, and that was the kind of the big thing. So London have a really good metropolitan police program, 40 minutes from my house. I was gonna plan on being that. And again, I was always connected to football. The London police they've actually London Met have a semi-pro soccer team based out of London. And my plan was always to kind of aim for that, right? Keep playing soccer, be a police officer, earn my way up, and then climb rank within the police force. And I think regardless of that, I think the skills you need to be a police officer is also very like it translates to being a coach. So I think I was always kind of learning those skills. You need to have people skills. You need to be empathetic because you're dealing with many people, and in moments of stress or in moments of happiness, you need to resolve friction. You need to problem solve on the fly, and again, you also need to be authoritative and be a presence. So I think even so, I wasn't necessarily going to be a police officer. I didn't know that back then. I thought I was. Those skills kind of that I was learning through kind of all my classes and part-time jobs and all that kind of stuff kind of led me into being like a almost like a team leader when I worked in a grocery store. So again, they made me a young team leader because I could talk to people who were 65 and I could talk to people who were 16. I think I had a good range of communication skills. And again, being a soccer player, I was always like a captain or a leader. And essentially, you kind of form those coaching traits. So I look back at it now and go, oh, it was quite obvious that I was going to be a coach. But back then, it wasn't really obvious at all. So it's funny you say that. So,
And then to kind of go from there, then it's good to go on to and you touch on some things we'll touch about again shortly,
yeah.
but what does your average day, what does your average day and week look like? So you've mentioned
Oof.
today, again, you're going to wake up, some emails, and then do you coach in the morning? When do you just kind of what does a day and a week look like as in sports coaching?
Again, I think it's relative to this time of year. So right now, I'll speak on this time of year. We're in a really busy period with the college and with the club. So I'll probably set a schedule, and some people are like, "Whoa!" But it's not always like that. So, for
Seasonal.
example, Monday to Thursday, I'm coaching on the field with the club from 4 p.m. You arrive because you start at 4:30 and you need to be punctual. So from 4 p.m. until 9 or 9:30 p.m. So again, that's a typical day from Monday through Thursday.
Because those
Well,
kids are in school during the day.
yep. So the kids are in school. So after it's like an after
Yeah.
school program. So we have a session from 4:30 to 6,
Yeah.
6 to 7:30, 7:30 to 9 for the oldest kids.
Yeah.
Typically the oldest kids go later just due to their school schedule, homework, and all kind of things like that.
Bedtime.
And obviously bedtime too. So that's a typical club schedule, and games for that come on the weekends, and you can have, for example, if you coach 3 teams, you can have 3 games on the weekend. If you coach sometimes the schedule works out. You can have 1 game on a weekend.
Yeah.
So this weekend I was off on the Saturday. So Saturday I'm relaxing, hanging out with my friends, and then Sunday was busy for me. I had 3 games. So again, it's relative. And then in a college, on top of that, usually colleges train in the morning or the early afternoon. So my Monday today will look like wake up, probably deal with any loose ends of communication over the weekend, any things that happened, or problem solve if something happened. For example, a player could get injured, or we could lose some equipment, or anything like that, right? So kind of that's an open area which is miscellaneous, right? And then after that will be prep for the college. Before I usually try to have some personal time, try go in the gym, try go for a walk, or some sort of personal activity for me because a lot of my day is spent with everyone else, right? And then I'll try and get into the college around try and get into 11:30. So try
12,
maybe
12,
12, maybe 12.
12,
And then
15.
as soon as we get to the college around 12, we kind of in like we regroup, we talk about the week, we talk about the next game, we talk about the training, what we need, and then we move into training from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock, and usually I get an hour to either shower, go get some food, and then head over to the ASU practice.
So your schedule's kind of reversed. I remember because I had the similar schedule, right? So as Harvey
Yeah.
knows, I have the same background as Harvey has. And you typically work from two, let's say 1 or 2, because if you want to be successful in the Bay Area, you have to be willing to work. But your mornings are your downtime, right? You have some emails
Yeah.
to send, and there's always a parent asking a question or some
Yeah.
administration, or you have to do something. But you go to the gym in the morning, you go for the walk in the morning. I spend more time with my wife in the morning. And then our work goes from like 11 or 12 o'clock through to 9, which is very different than now as a professor. I take my kids to school at 7. I'm in school by 8. I have no free time in the morning, but I have my free time, post 6 o'clock at night. Yours is opposite. A lot of your free time is is opposite of society, right? So most
Yeah.
people, you're working when people are off.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
going
And I
to the
think
gym in the morning.
for me, I think I don't mind about the hour. People say like sometimes they're unsociable and hard to deal with. But I've always done that because when I was in education, I was either working 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the grocery store and then going to college at 11 till 3 or 4, and then I would go back and work from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. to earn that kind of double shift to accumulate my 8 hours. So again, I've not known anything different. I will say it does have its challenges though. Again, like you again talking about relationships, you have to have a partner that kind of accepts that and fits their lifestyle too. So that's a challenge, and again, that's kind of more off the cuff, right? And it's got its challenges for sure. And again, if you have kids, then that also provides a different challenge. So you might not be able to have exactly the same schedule as 85% of soccer coaches. You may have to either take an older team that trains later because you'll need to pick your kids up from school and things like that. So again, there's always ways around it, and I think there's always I would say there's more flexibility in schedule than other jobs. If you worked at like a Google, let's say, they're probably, hey, here's your hours, here's your office hours. Whereas like in sport, in soccer, in health, in fitness, sometimes you can be a little bit more freelance with your hours, and that might also be the prompt for someone to kind of make their own business or make their own schedule. So
I think that's one part. I say, coach the purely the coaching part is a lot easier until you have a young family, and I think that's the juggling part. When you have your own family, that you want to be at home at dinner time or helping with
yeah,
homework, but you're out coaching other people's kids. That
yeah,
once you get into it at 20, you kind of get through to 35 or 40. And there's a some point when you may have your own family where it does start posing some challenges of like, how do
yeah,
I balance the schedule of coaching on nights, or I coach my daughter for that reason. I get to be with her, do the coaching, and also be at the same time. But it does
mm,
pose some challenges scheduling because you're working when your kids are at home and you're
yeah.
off when your kids are in school.
Oh,
Just quickly pick your
so I
nose.
don't know what happened there. Oh, it's connected to my phone. Sorry,
We've got a different angle. We're
it
looking
was
at our.
connected. It connected to my phone for some reason. Let me
That's okay. Well, I think on that is so as you
technology. Huh?
there you go, you're back. Talk a little bit, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but what skills do you think someone needs to? I think you mentioned empathy, you mentioned communication. What skills do you think you have to go into coaching? Like if you don't like talking to people or smiling at people or like
Yeah.
coaching's probably not for you, right? Like what skills do you think it's important for someone who's going to has an idea of I like coaching? You probably need to have these skills.
Yeah, again, I think it's about being personable, right? So again, my biggest thing is empathy. So put yourself in other people's shoes all the time. Because again, one kid might be coming to soccer because he wants to be a professional. One kid might be coming to soccer because he needs the fitness. One kid might be coming to soccer because she wants to be with her friends. So again, you've got to kind of read the room. So that's a harder skill set to learn. But I'd say the basis of it is, yeah, you need to be punctual. Is really important because again, like when you're dealing with families here in the Bay Area, like they're getting off work and they're rushing to get their kids fed and to your soccer practice. So if they're rushing around and you rock up 1 minute before start time, it kind of just shows like again, you've committed to this, right? Like you've committed to developing younger people. So punctuality is super important. Like you said, being able to talk, you've got to be able to talk and hold good eye contact with children. And also, there's going to be times where you're talking to a group. Like, for example, if I'm doing a team talk for you, Simon, I'll be talking to 35 guys plus. Like, there could be staff in the room, we could be under the lights at Evergreen and there could be 300 people watching. So again, you have to be comfortable with like eyes on you, and that's not always the case. You might be talking in a small group of 6 or 7, but I think you have to have good communication skills to stand there and use your voice. One thing I've learned recently is, again, you need to have a tone in your voice which you can't be monotone. You can't just speak in one tone because, again, if you're working in sport, you have to motivate, you have to show care, you have to show all these different emotions using your tone of voice and your body language. So, for me, if you're a person who speaks in one tone and very kind of slow, naturally in sport, it's very difficult to motivate people. Sometimes you need to use hand signals, like we clap a lot, right? We clap to reinforce positivity, and again, sometimes like we'll like whack someone on the arm like that, like come on, let's go, and that like that physical feeling of like, hey, I'm supporting you, and things like that, right? And again, everyone's different because I know you've done your masters based on motivation, right? It was something along those lines, wasn't it? Because not everyone's motivated the same. But I feel like you need a connection with your players because just like you need a connection with your professor, they have to like you and you have to like them, or have that feeling at least
Make them
for
think you
everyone in
like
the
them.
environment.
Make
Everyone
them
in the environment
hey,
to succeed.
make them think you like them, even if you don't. That's
Yeah, exactly. And again,
well,
I listened to it. There's a professional coach called Michael Beale, been fantastic, been all around the world, and he said every kid has an invisible badge on their chest that says "Make me feel special." You have to make kids feel special, no matter who they are, no matter their skill level, no matter what's gone on in your day or your life. Make them feel special.
as a coach, people who know me know I do not lack confidence, but as a dad, once you're going to see your kids go through the structure, I'm now a better coach having watching. I'm currently watching how my kids go through the youth sports journey, and I'm seeing the culture that they have, and that they'll care what you know when they know that you care, or the badge that says "Make me feel special." You
Yeah.
see it when you see your kids' eyes light up at the idea of seeing a coach,
Yeah.
and you're like, these guys make a bigger difference than I'm just dad. I'm just dad. What's funny on that though, Harvey, is you did not mention one thing about soccer. So I asked you what makes you a coach. The soccer piece wasn't mentioned. So do you think that a lot of the coaching, so the behaviors of coaching you could translate to multiple sports, because a lot of
Hmm.
it is the personal interaction, right? I believe I could coach a basketball team, a flag football team. I have to learn some of the nuance of the sport, but I think I can lead a group. I can lead people. So
Hmm.
a lot of the coaching of soccer is not necessarily whether or not you're an expert at soccer or not. It's whether or not you've got the ability to interact with the people you're working with.
Yeah, and again, I think one of the questions around me in my other role at Armaden FC was about leadership. I think the soccer piece was always there, and I had my previous director, who's now moved on, and my current boss sit me down and question my leadership, right? And I think when they question your leadership, it number one, it feels insulting and it comes across because you're like, wait, I can lead. And then once you kind of take a step back, and I'm sat here telling everyone else you got to have empathy, and then you've got to have empathy for not just your players, also the people around you that you work with, right? The administration staff, the other coaches, the bosses. And I'm like, well, I look back on it now, yeah, I probably caused my old boss a few problems, lack of leadership and just some immaturity, right? So again, you look at that, and I think, yeah, if you become a good leader, I think it translates to so many things. And again, you might learn your leadership skills in coaching from the age of 18 through to 25, and then you might take a different career path and end up being at 25 years old. You might be, I'll just talk on one of our students, Mario, who's now a team leader in a shoe store, and he now leads his
Mario
team and he
Garcia.
works full time. Yeah, Mario Garcia, and he's a very good leader. And again, when I go shopping over at the Great Mall, I always go in and see him and catch up with him. And again, he's a great leader of staff there and seems to be doing a fantastic job because they've kept him around for a long period of time, right? And
You
again,
only
he
go
was
there.
someone that
You only go there for the discount though.
yeah, I wish I could get shoes, but
So on that, I do like the fact you move on to like kind of team management because I think again there's a soccer piece and there's a leadership piece
yeah,
because you're leading kids and also you're leading parents. If you work in youth soccer, the reality is that parents are subscribing or registering the kids for the program you're in, whether it's
yeah.
soccer or whatever else. Can you just give us like one example of maybe a difficult scenario with a kid, a difficult scenario with a kid and the family or parents where you had to use your experience, maybe conflict resolution, empathy, where again it's more than just kick a ball this angle or make a run in this direction. There's a lot more to sports instruction that, including the leadership of players or athletes and parents, right? Can you give us an example of maybe a really challenging scenario that you had to try to circumvent with your experience?
Yeah, we could probably sit there and talk on this for about an hour. There's
Just give
so
me
many
3 minutes. Just give me three
there's so
minutes.
many different ones. No, I'm just saying. Again, there's
Oh,
one I come across today in the morning. So I had a player who's from a split home. So the dad's got multiple kids from a second marriage, and sorry, can't get him to practice this player. So player X can't come to practice 3 times a week. So now his skills diminish, right? And from me, I'm like, okay, well, we have a committed team. We need all these players to go. And then mum can't take it. Like, no one else can take him. So he's got no way of getting from Morgan Hill to San Jose. So he has to miss a couple of practices. So again, I think the patience and working with that player for I think I've had him now for 2 years is paying off. And again, like, I don't know if he'll play soccer forever, but keeping him in the sport, and put it this way, I think it's better if he's in soccer than not in soccer, because if he goes, oh well, I can't get there 1 day a week, so I'm just gonna quit. Like, then he moves on to other hobbies that might not be working on his fitness, all that kind of stuff, you know. So that's just one recent example, and that was this morning. Again, dealt with two players who dislike each other, because again, you can be on a team and you can be in a staff, and you can work in Shoe Palace and be in a group, and you don't like the other person that you work with, right? It's conflict is it's always going to happen, and just trying to resolve conflict between two players and sitting you down and be like, hey, you both have the same goal, and both have different ways of getting there, but ultimately like you both have each other's back, and getting them to realize they're actually a part of the same team and they actually share the common goal, but they both think they're the opposite. And it's like, hey, you guys are actually way more similar than you realize. And when that finally clicked in, I think they then started to become, you kind of turn it from enemies to frenemies. And again, I don't think they'll be the greatest of friends in life, and I don't think they'll sit down and have dinner together, but I do think they will help each
tolerate.
other get to the next level in soccer, and that's part of it.
Well, yeah, good. I think on the next one then is what are the, and I'm sure dealing with some of these scenarios would help, but what's the working in sport? I do tell you, you're probably not going to get rich. That just accept that the money side of things will not be phenomenal, right? Unless you're into sports medicine. What are the most rewarding parts of your job? Like, what would you say is this is why I wake up every day, and this is why I keep on doing it. This is what I really enjoy. Like, what do you find most rewarding or enjoyable from your positions that you're in?
I think the opportunity. So I look at it in different things. So in my club, I get a reward from developing the players and seeing them get better. In college, we have attainable goals like conferences and playoffs, and there's always, like, we want to always try and win as many games and go on to the next game, right? So winning is a motivation there. In terms of another team I've coached, it was about building a team because there was only 11 players on the team. So then I had to create a culture, create an environment that kids wanted to stick around and they wanted to play in this environment. And then they also wanted to bring their friends into the environment. So I tried, that was a different measure of success. So from my U15 team, it was to build a team. From my U17, it was to improve the team. And then for the college, it's to win games and to compete at the highest level we can possibly go to. So ultimately it comes down to making the players better. I think that's the primary motivation. And you've got to be okay as a coach seeing your players go on and do
Yeah.
things better than you could, right? That is the point. Like, it's not to be like, oh, hey, I want you to be good, but not that good. No, I want you to be as the best level you possibly can. So, and again, you're going to work long hours, and you're going to have to put in additional hours, like, because in order to support a high performing person, or even to support a person who's performing lower than their capacity, you need to put extra hours in that aren't logged, that aren't seen, that aren't necessarily valued at the time. But you need to put that in if you want to develop people, and you want to develop soccer players, and you want to develop athletes and all that kind of stuff.
I think on that note, we kind of touched a little bit on some of the challenges, and we're not going to go back to it because of we have a couple more questions. But
Yeah.
my wife's a nurse, and she
Yeah.
clocks in and clocks out. So she clocks in the beginning of a shift, she works at 12 hours, and she clocks out. When she's not at work, she's not thinking about work at all. The reality is, and I have this with you as a coach, as a soccer coach, you're kind of 24/7. Like there's a point
Yeah.
where you can't really clock out because you've always got it on your mind. You can always do a little bit more, especially when you're trying to help people. Um, you can always could I do more? And the reality is yes, you can. So it's actually quite hard to sometimes separate or to switch off and have personal
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah, 100%. Again, like you do take work home. I recently in the past 18 months switched my notifications off for emails, because I would be out with my friends or out golfing or whatever, and I would see an email and it would immediately change
Put
my
you in a
mood.
bad mood, yeah. Put you in a bad mood.
Yeah. So you don't want to see that email. So I switch my emails off. And the only time I can see my emails if I go in and look. So again, I think that barrier of like protecting yourself is important. I will say though, like sometimes you get a text off a parent like, "Hey, thanks for all you do for my kid. Like he's loving soccer and he thinks the world of it," and then it puts a huge smile on your face,
Yeah.
right? So there is those ones as well. But again, you're trying to help. The more kids you work with, and the higher your position in sports, leadership, athletics, education, the more people you're directly connected to and trying to help, and you want to see everyone succeed. I don't think any leader looks and thinks, "Oh, like I don't want her to succeed, or I don't want him to succeed." You want everyone to succeed, because again, you're just trying to elevate everybody. And even we've had personal conversations. It's your journey, right? As a player, as a student, as an athlete. So I think if as coaches we do our job of helping them build these individual skills that they can carry through and build that intrinsic motivation that they have for themselves, then that's the way to do it, rather than build the house around them, hand them the saw, hand them the wood, hand them the brick, right? And then let them add the bricks, let them add the wood, let them, do you know what I mean? So again, I think if we do too much for people, then you ultimately you're a one person resource, right? So ultimately we have to help people in order to build themselves.
Yeah. What advice then would you give for students? Because there'd be some students either watching the video in the class, it's an online class also. Um, some students are like, you know, I think I'd like to get into coaching. Like, what are the first steps for them? What advice would you give it? Is the work experience they can do? Is like part-time job? Like, who could they? What would be a good starting point?
I would, again, like if you've been involved in sports before, I would go back to the organization that you was in, or organizations. So I would look at that. Again, we Armaden FC, for example, we have a really good direct link with the college. So it was a seamless transition for a lot of the guys who have studied and been a part of the men's soccer team to come over to Armaden FC in order to coach, in order to work tournaments. Like Noah Fernandez still helps run the tournaments, and he's
Really
been doing that, and they call him back every single time, and he's fantastic at it. And I think he earns
part-time work, right? It's just
very
part-time
part
hourly paid,
time,
right?
yeah, part time seasonal. But I think he earns $1,000 a week on a tournament, and again, that just kind of tops up his money. And yeah, I mean that's one way to do it. Again, I would also look online as well, because the first thing you want to do is you do want to get paid, right? As a young person, so look at the part time jobs, but also if you volunteer at somewhere where you've been before, or let's say your little cousin plays basketball at the YMCA, or pal athletic league, play baseball. Like, just go and ask the coaches. Like, I don't think as a coach, if someone come up to me and says, "Hey, do you need help?" Yeah, I do. I do need help. Like, I need a lot of help. Like, I need help putting out the cones. I need help doing this. I need help doing. There's always help. So
Here's the
I
whistle. I'll be
think,
back in 30 minutes.
yeah, yeah. I'm just going to Starbucks. What do you want? But I think if you have, if someone puts their hand out to say like I want to help, I think many coaches and organizations will take that. And I think
Yeah.
going into that and spending a little bit of time there can propel you into a part-time job. And again, I've seen some of our guys from Evergreen go part-time to full-time very quickly. They start working part-time and helping out, and before you know it, 6 months time, they're full-time jobs with good salaries too. So again, the ladder can propel quickly. So my advice will be, yeah, like reach out to organizations. Again, little cousin plays basketball here, or Pal Athletic League, or Santa Clara Youth Soccer, Almaden Soccer. Like type in your sport or YMCA's or anything like that, and then your area, something will pop up. There's always a need for extra hands.
I think on that part, Jesse Nevin was mentioning it's actually a bit hard on physical therapy because you need to there's just a bit more to it, but coaching is
Yep.
really is as simple as just offer to help. Just offer to help, and most coaches would welcome kind of a helper or an assistant to kind of like come and get their feet wet. And
Yep.
that would also give the students a good chance to see if you like it or not, because you'll know pretty quickly whether you enjoy
Yeah.
being with the kids. And if you don't enjoy it, they're probably not going to enjoy it either. And if you are enjoying it, they're probably having a blast. But I would say that you would talk about networking there, and that most people want to probably work in the sport that they played. So go
Yep.
back to teammates, go back to old coaches, go back to old teachers. And again, it goes back to what you mentioned about communication and relationships and talking to people. Go leverage your pride. If you want to be a swimming instructor, well, who was your swimming coach? What swimming club were you at?
Yep.
Soccer, of course, is easy in terms of the transition that we see, but a lot
Yeah.
of it's networking. Go back to where you started, speak to your coaches, and do a little bit of volunteer work. Go help a little bit, and you'll soon get an idea whether or not it's something that you enjoy
Yeah.
and want to potentially pursue more.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
Okay, well, just I guess finally, kind of a closing reflection. Is there anything like that you want to add that we've not really spoken about? You kind of went through a bit of your background academically, also coaching certificates. We spoke about what you enjoy about the job and some kind of key characteristics or things that you need to be, I guess, good at. Went through like working days and working weeks, and kind of got onto leadership but it's like and then also how to help future budding coaches. But anything else you want to add that we've not really spoke about?
Yeah, just do something you're really motivated in. I think if you do that and you're always wanting to help yourself, then you'll naturally help others. And I think the older you get and the more experience you get within it, you'll shift away from helping yourself to helping others, and that'll always find a more meaningful way. And when you're doing it, I can do this job in its busy period, and I forget that it's a job. Like I forget that, hey, I am getting paid this amount for this period of time. Like I just do it. So again, it's one of those things you just like when you show up every day and you fully invest to it, your motivation inside, your intrinsic motivation and your ability to take on board what the team's goal, it just carries you forward and you almost forget it's a job. And again, that won't be for everybody. Some people will be like, oh, like I'm kind of I need some money here. This is wasting my time, or I need to do this. And again, it's not for everybody, but for the people who do kind of fall into it or take that step into it, then yeah, just focus on the why behind what you do, and that'll carry you through.
I love it. Well, what I will do is, Harvey, I'll also add your contact details. I'll put
Yep.
your Gmail, I'll put your Almaden or your Gmail account. If people have got questions, there was one of these classes. In fact, Deadshot Alejandro Calejo, he
Yep.
had one of these classes, and it was a physical therapist said, "Hey, if you got questions, reach out." And Alejandro actually reached out, and from that, he made a connection with this physical therapist and ended up doing a month's worth of kind of a shadowing at this physical therapy setting. So again, I will add Harvey's contact details to to the email or the video. And if people have got any questions specifically about coaching or soccer that maybe I can't answer, you'll feel free to reach out. Of course, if Harvey gets 100 emails, he can't respond to them all immediately. But I'm sure, based on my presumption, only a few people will. And then Harvey will be able to maybe connect you in the right lines, the right pathway if I can't. So, okay, Harvey, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to the class.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
No, your insight for coaching was very valuable.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Harvey.
Yep, no worries, Simon. See you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.